Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Brad Genius back at it again with another video. And today we're going to be talking about how a 15-year-old Gixxer beat a brand new 2020 Ducati Panigale.
Yeah, start it off right, boys. Yeah. Oh my god.
Hi, Mom. Sorry, not sorry.
But on camera when I die?
Of course. So, just so you guys know, it is not this specific Gixxer that beat it, but this Gixxer is actually in way better condition than the Gixxer that beat the Panigale. Basically, there's a video by Revzilla if you want to check it out. They basically took a 2005 or 2006 Gixxer 1000, which is, you know, what this is, and they raced it against a brand new Ducati Panigale. And it was funny because they got to a point where they brought in the Ducati to see if there was anything wrong with it, because they just didn't understand how a Gixxer that was 15 years old was able to beat a brand new Ducati. So let me give you a little bit of background first. Basically what happens in the video is one of the riders, they go and they find an old 2005 or 6 GSXR 1000, and it's kind of clapped. I mean, it's got 55,000 miles. The odometer doesn't work, so it probably has more than 55,000 miles on it. And it just really was not in the best shape. But, you know, it's a raw sport bike, so he wanted to see how it would do on a track against a Panigale, which, you know, I have the same bike, so I was like, cool, let's go see. And their goal was similar to mine, where, you know, you weren't expecting it to win, of course, but you were hoping that it would put up a decent fight against it. And so they went through, they changed a couple things. The Gixxer got a brand new set of tires. That was really all the guy did to it. And they took it out on the track. And to their surprise, the Gixxer actually beat the Ducati by over a second. And they were in shock, so they tried it again. Same results. They switched riders, they did all kinds of different tests, and it didn't matter. The Gixxer kept winning. And they just could not understand what it was. Like I said, they took it to a Ducati dealership to see if they could figure out, you know, how this was even possible, you know, what was going on. And the only possible solution that they could have found was the suspension spring, I think it was too stiff for the track. I guess it was made more for the street, even though you have an electronic suspension that you can adjust. Another Gixxer boy. That you could adjust yourself, and it has all this technology and all this crazy stuff. And I say that to say this, guys, you know, this is not the greatest bike in the world to a lot of people. A lot of people hate on Gixxer. I don't care, bro. I love this bike. I know it's not the fastest, but I'll tell you what, it is an extremely light bike, and when you compare it to other motorcycles, it just performs a lot better. So for anybody that's curious as to why this bike was able to win, as someone who has owned this bike for a couple years and has, you know, done very well against any of my other friends, let me give you some of the reasons as to why this bike was able to pull off a win against the brand new Ducati Panigale. So the first thing is the weight. This is one of the lightest 1000s ever made, if not the lightest. And the way they were able to do this is they basically took a 1000cc motor, Gixxer did, Suzuki did, and they basically shoved it into a 600 frame. If you put this bike next to other 1000s, it's a lot smaller. If you put it next to a 600, it's almost the size of a 600. So that's the biggest contributor. When you look at statistics and everything, you look at charts and stuff with horsepower and torque and all that, they don't always tell the full story. If you're on a bike that's got all this power, take Dodge, for example. This is not a shot at Challenger, guys. This is just, you know, a fact. Challengers put down a lot of power, but they're boats, you know what I mean? They weigh a lot. So they might have all that horsepower, but when you put them up against something lighter, they lose to something that has less horsepower because they don't have to push as much weight as a Challenger does. And it's the same concept for motorcycles. You know, all these brand new bikes, they've all got 200 horsepower. And you know, this bike is probably closer to, you know, maybe like 170, something like that. But it's a lot lighter. And not only that, but the mid-range on this bike is one of the reasons why it's so sought after. The engine that was put in this bike was so good that BMW took it and used it as the basis for their S1000RR back in, I think, 2007 or 8. I don't remember. I know the K5 and K6 were 2005 and 2006. But yeah, so that's another big thing I think that helped on the track. And then what a lot of people don't realize too is, yeah, you have all these other mods and stuff on the brand new bikes that you could do. You know, adjust your suspension, electronics, you can, you know, you have traction control and wheelie control and, you know, all these great things, but they all add weight and they all, in my opinion, take away from the fun of a bike. You know what I mean? For having this bike may be 15 years old, but when you get on this bike, it's just raw power. And you have to know what you're doing to ride this bike. And that's what makes it so fun to me. And that's why so many people love them, because you don't have A, B, C, D, E, F, G mode on it for, you know, people that don't know how to ride. You don't have all these. I mean, I could probably use ABS, I will say that. But other than ABS, I don't think I'd want anything else on the bike. Other than maybe a quick shifter too. You know, there's definitely some advantages to some of the newer technology, but other than maybe a quick shifter and ABS, I wouldn't want anything else. Traction control, wheelie control, all that other stuff, you know, all the different rider modes and stuff like that. I like to learn how the bike works and become one with the bike. I don't want the bike to learn me. I want to learn the bike, you know what I mean? And that's what happens with these riders out on the bikes, you know? You could have a brand new Ducati with all these, you know, different mods and stuff on it that you can adjust. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're not putting everything down to the road. And I mean, it's just crazy, yo. Like, think about it. Somebody just paid $28,000 for a brand new Ducati when they could have bought a Gixxer for $4 grand. I think that's how much he bought it for $4 grand, and done the exact same thing. Now, if you're using it for a road bike and you want the looks, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, a brand new Ducati looks great, you know. I love the way my Gixxer looks, especially with the revamp that I've done to it. But I'm sure most people probably prefer the look of, you know, a Ducati Panigale over, you know, a 2005 Gixxer. And if you're using it on the street, you're not really, you know, using the performance of it, then it doesn't really matter. But if you're looking to get into a track bike, it just goes to show you don't got to pay 30 grand to get a good bike. You can buy a solid bike for, you know, $5,000–6,000 and have something that's going to be super competitive with basically anything else on the track if you get it set up the right way. It was just so funny to see because, you know, like I said, I figured it wasn't going to win, but I thought it would be cool to be close. And I guess that's just something to say about, you know, these K5, K6 Gixxers is there's something special about them. You know, they were legendary back in the day, and they still are legendary. The legend lives on, you know. It's cool to see it as someone who's been a fan of this bike for years, to see that, you know, it's still getting the recognition that it deserves. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for this one, guys. I just wanted to talk about that. I thought that was kind of a cool topic to talk about. If you guys like the video, let me know by hitting like, hit subscribe if you want to see more videos. And as always, guys, you have a great day. Peace.